The evidence will be placed before the committee. The minister will have the opportunity to defend himself. A report will be presented to the House, and we will debate that report.
So that was the Speaker of Parliament of Ghana, Honorable Alban Sumana Kingsford Bagbin, delivering his ruling on the motion of censure filed by the minority in Parliament seeking to remove the minister responsible for finance, Ken Ofori-Atta, from office. Now, the minority in their motion cited a number of reasons why they think the continuous stay of Mr. Ofori-Atta in office will spell doom for the country's economy. And now, interestingly, although over 80 MPs on the majority side had earlier called for the resignation or the removal of the embattled minister from office, they failed to support the motion of the minority yesterday. Now, after a heated debate on the floor yesterday, the Speaker directed the matter to an 8-member ad hoc committee, a ruling which was met with stiff opposition from the minority. So let's take a look at what actually transpired on the floor of Parliament yesterday.
It's when a speaker is presiding that it becomes a house. You can't have this room with 275 members seated there and call yourself a house. You must move away from the understanding that you are the makers of everything here. I've been listening to you. Don't give me that temptation.
Mr. Speaker, I hope I have your permission to continue speaking.
Yes, you have my permission, but I think that you have to withdraw.
So long as I hold this
honorable member, you have to withdraw it and apologize.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'm happy you've given me the permission to speak. Mr. Speaker, one of the cardinals of democracy is to listen to each other, even when we disagree with each other. Mr. Speaker, on Order 106, I am reading to say the intention to refer this to a committee.
Honorable member, resume your seat. Resume your seat.
It is wrong. It cannot be right even before the Speaker says it. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, I beg to second the motion with a clear indication any attempt to move this matter to a committee will be a travesty of justice done to the chamber of this House. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
That's it. But apart from the heated debate or tension in Parliament, the ruling of the Speaker has actually received numerous mixed reactions also from a section of the public. So what do you also think? Were you expecting something different? Let us know at the comment section of our live stream on Facebook or on the WhatsApp number displayed on your screen. And then among the members of people who have been reacting to the outcome is a political analyst, Mr. Jonathan Asante-Otri. He's a senior lecturer at the University of Cape Coast who believes, per the rules of natural justice, the finance minister must be given the opportunity to respond to these allegations. Let's take a listen to him.
For me, apart from the fact that the minority felt unsettled upon the decision of the Speaker, I think that the rule of natural justice, when someone stands accused, an opportunity should be given for the person to be heard and for the person to defend him or herself. And so I think that that is what the Speaker sought to do, because you could see that the atmosphere was quite charged, and if he had instantaneously responded in a positive fashion to the request of the minority, probably we may be singing a different tune. And I also feel that if per their standing orders, yes, the finance minister should have the opportunity to speak, and is allowed to speak before Parliament. But issues like that, if you should straight ahead subject it to the plenary, I think it will be a banter of who can shout, the loudest.
Okay.
And with that, the real, issues will be lost.
Odekro Kina Lekimani also believes the minority could have avoided the Speaker's ruling if they had not included accusations that bordered on criminality. Let's listen to it.
The motion for the censure motion was drafted up. Because actually you can draft a motion censure against Ken Ofori-Atta without bringing in anything that is criminal. Am I lying? Every day that we wake up here in Ghana, we go out and live our lives in the mismanagement he has caused to turn this economy. Inflation is 40% in October. The rising petrol prices, the tanking of the city. None of this he has to respond to because it is wide public knowledge.
All right.
But if you craft a motion and you make some of these, what I have mentioned, with things that are clearly criminal, then actually you are then going to be referred to a committee. Am I lying? We are being managed by both sides. Because we need not have had the censure motion that put these things. Because he's had 6 years to, he's turned the economy. Now, as to the on something, I think the thing about withdrawing from statutory funds is very odd that is there. Okay. Every single finance minister does that.
Okay.
What exactly is the leadership of the minority actually up to? Because they could have crafted a motion that did not mean that the speaker refers. He doesn't even have to come and answer, because it is evident for all of us to see. Some of it, a lot of it, is a matter of public record.
All right.
And like the city, it is depreciating every day.
So this evening on Spotlight, we are actually unpacking the ruling of the Speaker to ascertain what it actually means for the fate of the embattled Minister for Finance and Ghana's parliamentary democracy. You can send your thoughts to the WhatsApp number displayed on your screens, and they will be read in the later part of the show. So let me now introduce my guest this evening. I have with me Professor Ransford Jampo. He is a senior lecturer and political scientist at the Department of Political Science, University of Ghana. I also have Ben Efson. He's a pollster and managing editor, Daily Dispatch newspaper, as well as Honorable Inusa Fuseni. He's a private legal practitioner and a former MP. Gentlemen, welcome to the discussion this evening.
Good evening. Good evening to our viewers.
All right, so let me start with you, Ben Efson. Do you think this particular motion was necessary at all? Have we gotten to a point in our democracy where we can now use this channel to remove a minister?
I think that the bottom line is that before you get into parliament, you have to be voted for. And if you have gotten to a stage with such a tight parliament in terms of numbers, a minister is showing disregard to an independent arm of government, parliament. And there are indications that the party for which he belongs to are dissatisfied.
Okay.
I think that our democracy has reached far. And I like the idea that you may be a minister from a governing party, but you can be brought to book.
Okay. All right. Let me go to Mr. Fuseni. Hello, can you hear me, sir?
Hello?
Yes. Okay, let me go to Jampo, Professor Jampo. Let's take a step back a little. Looking at the U-turn of the over 80 MPs who actually organized a press conference demanding the removal of the finance minister. Were you surprised that they had to make that sudden U-turn yesterday?
What U-turn did they make? I'm not sure of what you're talking about. Did they make a U-turn that
certainly they want the minister to see. Is that what you are talking about?
Yes, so earlier the majority held a press conference demanding that they wanted a finance minister to be removed from office. So one would have thought that now that the minority is now bringing this motion, they would have actually added their voice to that of the minority. But looking at what transpired in Parliament yesterday, you could tell that they were really not in favor.
No, they were not given the chance to participate in the process. I mean, there were back and forth between the speaker and the minority side.
Okay.
And so you cannot categorically say that the majority side has done a U-turn. As far as I'm concerned, what I've heard them say is that they do not want the finance minister to be the one presenting the budget.
Okay.
And that's to tell you. I mean, you guys should follow things through properly and do your own analysis with a certain discernment so that these things can shape your questioning that you pose to us. Otherwise, you pose questions to us and you create an impression as if you do not even understand what is going on. They didn't say they have done a U-turn. You heard them say that they do not want the minister to be the one reading the budget. And also, there was no, I don't think there was a space for them to even vote on the motion. So what happened between the speaker and the minority side? So I thought that was what you were going to ask us to be discussing. But let's not create the wrong impression.
All right, thank you so much. So, but I want to find out from you, was the speaker wrong in actually referring the motion to the committee? Because this actually generated some tension between Muntaka and the speaker himself. What do you make of that particular?
Well, the speaker had his own reasoning. We can interrogate by their own standing orders. I mean, this motion, after it has been moved, number one, it should have been seconded.
Okay.
Before the speaker could say anything. But it appears that the motion was moved before it could be seconded. The speaker indicated his intention to refer the matter to an ad hoc committee. But which matter was he going to refer to an ad hoc committee? The motion has not been officially tabled before Parliament. You table a motion officially before Parliament when it is moved and it's seconded, but it has not been seconded. And then the speaker jumps in. Okay, so he's saying that it has to be referred to a standing committee, an ad hoc committee.
All right.
So the difference between the committees of Parliament and then also an ad hoc committee. This was not, the matter was not being referred to any of the committees of Parliament, but an ad hoc committee.
Okay.
And then his view was that because it is a serious issue, the minister had to be given the opportunity to defend himself. And you know that if you are not a member of Parliament and you are not a minister, you cannot go to the plenary sessions of Parliament. You cannot appear there. And the speaker was saying that because of the seriousness of the matter, the minister would have the right to go to Parliament or appear before the committee with his lawyer, so that the lawyer can aid him in so many questions. And because there may be the need for a lawyer, and the fact that the lawyer cannot appear in the plenary session of Parliament, then he believes that an ad hoc committee will be a place where the minister can go, be interrogated, and then his lawyer can also help him answer questions. I think that was some great reasoning on the part of the speaker.
Okay.
But at the same time, if you are interrogating the issues, you would also realize that do we necessarily say that the finance minister needs a lawyer, at all costs in this matter? I know that the finance minister has always appeared before Parliament to be quizzed about his actions and his inactions on several issues. And so, if this man has always been appearing before Parliament and he doesn't go to Parliament with a lawyer, why is it that this particular case, which also focused on his own action and inaction, all of a sudden he needs a lawyer to be there? Well, so I am not here to fault the speaker, and I'm not here to also defend him. But the point that I want to make is that we have had a speaker who has operated differently from other speakers in the history of the Fourth Republic. This is a speaker who has asserted himself. He's been independent. He's taking sides the majority side. He's taking sides the minority side. Unlike other speakers who were always going one direction, I think he has been here, he has been there. He's been independent. He's asserted the authority and sovereignty of Parliament.
Okay.
And I think it's something that we must all applaud.
Okay.
The only thing that I can say is that in this particular matter that is before Parliament, it appears nobody can manipulate it. I would say it's been manipulated. No one can manipulate Bagben as you have seen. But it appears that he's being quite sympathetic to the minister and, of course, to the government. And that's why he's giving certain interpretations and rulings. But, well, it is his right and his discretion as a speaker. But generally, I think he's asserted his authority as a speaker of parliament, and it's something that we must applaud. And those members of the majority side who are happy with what the speaker has done, we shouldn't be hypocritical. Sometimes it appears there's something wrong with it. When somebody takes a position and you like it, you applaud it. If you don't like it, you want to condemn or criminalize the person. It doesn't make us look good as thinking people. Let us also appreciate the fact that people have the right to be neutral and independent. And so now some people are hailing him. But tomorrow these same people will say he's quote unquote, he's misbehaving. It doesn't help. Let us respect the right of individuals to be independent minded. And so today, if he takes stands that are with you or in support of you, and you are hailing him, remember that tomorrow, if his stand does not go in support of you, you will be a hypocritical person if you condemn him. Let that be ingrained in our society that the speaker has always taken stand, sometimes in opposition to the party that left him or the party that elected him, but sometimes too in support of the party. And that is the speaker. I think he's been independent-minded, and we must respect it so that tomorrow, if he does something and it supports you, you support and you like it. If he does something and it goes against you and you don't like it, you are circumspect with the kinds of things you say against him.
All right, Prof. So from where you sit, you see the neutrality of the speaker as being intact, right?
I think that he's been independent, he's been neutral, he has accepted the independence and authority of power as the countervailing authority to the executive arm of government. But, I mean, like I said, in this particular matter, it is right to be sympathetic to the minister or the government. I mean, it is a discretion. It is done so, and people do not really appreciate it. I mean, they should also be mindful of the fact that after the committees work within 1 week, they will still have the power to vote secretly, about the vote, about the censure motion. And so whether it is sympathetic or not, neither here nor there. It appears that the minority side is self-suspicious of the activities or conduct of the speaker, and thinking that maybe he's just buying time for something else that may thwart their efforts to happen. But I want to be positive and forward-looking and hope that they will still have the power or the right to vote on the censure motion after the committee has done its work.
All right. Thank you so much, Prof. But hold on for me. I'll come back to you for one more. Let me go to Benefsin. Do you agree with Professor that the Speaker appears to be on top of issue, his neutrality, he's been fair and all that?
Yes, I agree with Prof. The Speaker, even though he's from an NDC background, has done very well in this matter. You need to bear in mind that the members of parliament, many of them going back to their constituencies to be re-elected as parliamentary candidates. So even though the MPP is strong and the party will win majority of seats in Ashanti region and Eastern regions, you need to bear in mind that in such state constituencies, the contest is much bitter and harassed.
Okay.
So everybody will want to receive that look. Even though the Minister of Finance is from the ruling party, I stood up and I was against him because the day that those members of parliament raised the issue, for the first time in many months, the CD did not drop that day.
Okay. Hello, Mr. Epson.
Yes, I'm here, yes. I think that, so I'm giving you the impression that when that MP goes back to his constituency, and there are people challenging him for the right to contest, because that saves you once you win the primary, you're effectively in parliament. They say, yes, I was among those who stood up that the Minister of Finance should be sacked because it had brought hardship and was making us unpopular. They used it as part of their, to leverage their campaign to back in parliament.
Okay. Okay, that's very clear. But what do you make of the argument from both sides, from minority and majority, the preliminary objection and the laying of the motion from the minority leader himself? What do you make of argument from both sides?
You see, when the 80 MPs put forward that the minister should be sacked, they had met the president. And they had come to a halfway. The president said, please allow him to finish the negotiations with the IMF. Then we will see to his departure or otherwise. Later on, there was an attempted shift. Now, if I was an advisor for the minority, I would have advised them that, look, meet your majority halfway. Tell them that this is what you wanted to do, but to also help you out so that you can still continue to show respect to your president. Let us wait. When negotiations are finished and he doesn't resign or the president does not sack him, we will bring this motion back. And I can tell you, I'm very sure that when negotiations are done, and Kanokoyata is still at post, and the minority tried to censor him. And what is mean by secret vote? To get some members from the majority voting with the minority to remove him.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. But let me go to Professor Jampo. Do you think this whole censure, should it be successful, will it be binding on the president to actually act on it? If not, wouldn't it be just a waste of time and resources?
Well, the vote of a censure whose outcome is positive would mean that Parliament will not want to do work with the minister again. It will be up to the president to determine whether he would want a minister who cannot appear before Parliament to continue to be a minister or not. So we'll leave that to the discretion and to the wise judgment of the president.
Okay. All right. But before I let you go, let me ask you my very last question. At the end of the day, you've touched on the neutrality of the speaker. What image will this actually carve for the legislature as an arm of government? The image of the democracy that we have and the role of...
Well, if it continues like this, then it will have a positive image for our legislature as the countervailing authority to the powers of the executive. It is good when we had the hung parliament. I mean, we spoke about some of these things that is good for our democracy. And so it will tell you that, it will tell the executive arm of government that, look, it's not business as usual. This is the first time we are having parliament that is hung, and this is the first time we are having a speaker that is coming from the side of government, the side that is not in government. And it is good. It's helping parliament to assess itself. It is good for ourselves in our democracy.
Thank you so much, Professor Jampo, for speaking with us here on Spotlight. We are so grateful. Now, let me come to you, Ben Epson.
Yes.
From where you sit, do you see this whole censure motion as something that is actually going to ensure that the finance minister is removed from office? Do you believe we are likely to see any good outcome?
I think that given the mood of the majority in parliament, I suspect that when negotiations are done with the IMF, the minister may step down on health ground than for the president to sack him.
That's what you suspect?
Yeah, that's what I suspect, because I've been involved with politics and elections for some time. I'm finishing my 7th book on elections. I've never seen, quote and unquote, such, you know, let's say, for want of a better word, a rebellion from the ruling majority in parliament, trying to force the hand of their president in making such a change. My mind doesn't recall, quote unquote, a rebellion among the majority MPs. So I'm sure that, because if it doesn't, there could be further embarrassment for the executive when they bring things to parliament to be done.
Okay, so Mr. Ben Efsen, kindly hold on for me. Let me go to some of our viewers who have actually been texting and expressing the opinion on what we've been discussing so far. We have one texter who have not given us his name, and he believes that the speaker, on my view, is very neutral in handling this issue. But my opinion on the issue is that the finance minister should be excused from his duties because his efforts keep providing futile for us as a nation. So kindly add your name and where you are actually texting us from, so we can really share with the rest of the world. Here is another texter who believes that the majority in parliament is confused as to how to remove Ken Ofori-Atta. Now, an opportunity was created by the minority to remove the finance minister, but the majority is delaying the process. This act by the majority will not resolve our economic crisis. So these are some of the views from our listeners. So do you think, based on the text message I've just read, Mr. Ben Efsen, do you think the majority is trying to play a double standard kind of thing with all this whole issue?
Well, I mean, in my last submission, I said that if I was a political advisor to the minority in parliament, I would have told the majority that this is what we want to do. But we recognize that you, the majority, you've agreed something with your president.
Okay.
So now we will not push our censor now. The president said he should let Ken Ofori-Atta finish the negotiations. So we need to have, we will not bring our censor now, but when the IMF negotiations are concluded, then we'll bring it back. So let's have the agreement that when we bring it back, we will support us. So we will hold our censure for now. Because the minority needs to bear in mind that members of the majority will have to respect their leader, that is the president.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Ben Efsen. But respectfully, if you could hold on for us, let me speak with Inusa Fuseni, who has just joined us via phone. So you are a former member of parliament and you're also a lawyer. From where you sit, based on all these experiences that you have, do you sincerely think the finance minister erred in the discharge of his duties as a finance minister of state?
Well, thank you so very much for having me. A vote of censure comes with many things. And it is not about erring.
Okay.
It's about the way the finance minister has gone about conducting the affairs of his office. And also the credibility, integrity, and reputation he has as a finance minister. to continue to act in that office. And whether he conducted himself in such a way as to bring his office into disrepute or embarrass the nation of Ghana. Has he flouted any of the laws which regulate his conduct as a finance minister? Consider this matters that a vote of censure. Then, that can provoke a vote of censure. It is not whether he has erred. Because when you look at the allegations against him, they cast across a broad spectrum of issues. Some bordering on criminality, others on policy, and some of books profitability. So they cut across. And that is why I had thought that when the motion was admitted, the motion would have been allowed to be debated. The finance minister given an opportunity to be heard in Parliament. To try to explain all the issues or allegations leveled against him, he is defense, and allow the Parliament to vote on that matter. It's important that in a crisis of the nature in which we are, matters of this nature are brought to an expeditious conclusion, so that we will know where we are going. But if you leave it hanging in the balance, it further confuses a lot of people, especially who are prepared to invest their money in Ghana, even in this crisis.
All right, so does that mean you are sort of disappointed in the ruling given by the Speaker? I mean...
Yes, I'm sort of disappointed because when you read article, Order 106, Order 106, first of all, says that when a vote of censure is moved, it must be debated in the House. Now, or refer to a committee on a motion moved by a member of Parliament. It means that the second leg, the case here, deals with special situations. If there are special situations which require that a committee of Parliament deals with the matter, then a member of Parliament must raise a motion, must move a motion that the vote of censure, the deliberations of the vote of censure, be referred to a committee because of these special circumstances. One such special circumstance is when it is necessary for the minister to appear in Parliament with counsel. Counsel cannot speak on the floor of the House. The minister is now still member of the House. And so that's a special circumstance. When the matters in Parliament and contained in the allegations are being argued viva voce, that is orally, they are supporting documents. You will want the documents that will support those arguments to be verified and authenticated. It is only a committee of Parliament that can do that. Now, if the matter contains some allegations of financial impropriety, if the finance minister thinks that it is important for an expert in financial matters to appear before Parliament to explain what he did, that expert cannot appear before Parliament. But it can appear before a committee of Parliament. And so these are special circumstances that will warrant the referral of the vote of censure to a committee of Parliament. So my expectation was that the Parliament, the Speaker would have allowed the motion to be debated and then a decision taken, and then we move on as a country.
So which means the Speaker probably took all this into consideration, hence his decision to refer the matter to the ad hoc committee.
Yes, if I'm faulting the Speaker at all, I'm faulting him on the basis of the fact that it was not a member of Parliament who moved the motion for the referral of the matter to a committee. It was he himself, so much saying that he was going to refer the matter to a committee. That should not be the procedure, because he's a presiding member. He doesn't take part in a debate. He only manifests the wishes of members of Parliament. And so he ought to have waited. And I would see an attempt by Chairman Sabulsu to try to reconcile the Speaker's announcement with the standing order.
All right, so some have actually argued that the motion itself has some issues. I mean, issues of saying the minister committed some crimes and all those things. So the motion had an issue from where those people are coming from. You are an expert in the field. Do you think the motion was properly prepared and laid?
So that was what I expected Martin to be talking about. If he felt the motion was incompetent, then he attacked the incompetence of the motion. Okay? If he thinks that the motion did not follow due process, he attacked that. If the motion violated, flouted, did not meet the requirements of the Constitution, he attacked that. But his attack was largely inconsequential because he was talking of fair notice. If he thought that Article 82.4 and the way it was couched, if implemented stricto sensu, would not offer the minister adequate opportunity to defend himself, he ought to attack the motion on that. And then debate on that, not motion, then debate on that. But he did not attack it on those bases. I think that, to my mind, motion contained many issues. Some issues were problematic. For instance, the Constitution vests exclusive authority in Shiraj to investigate matters of conflict of interest. Will it be proper for the Parliament to supplant the authority given the Shiraj to investigate matters of conflict of interest? Well, I was waiting to hear arguments on that. Now, some of the matters which deal with hardship imposed on the people of this country are matters that originate from the implementation of policies. And policy is not the exclusive preserve of the Minister of Finance. The policy originates from cabinet.
Okay.
The president gives approval for that policy before it can be implemented.
Okay.
And for instance, policies contained in the budget. These are dates and minister, because that budget is read for and on behalf of the president by the minister. Can you hold the minister vicariously responsible for policies in the budget? So I was waiting to hear agreements on that so that we could know where we move to from there. But withdrawing monies without leave of Parliament, that authority of Parliament, are criminal in nature. They are extra budgetary expenditure. In other jurisdictions, ministers who do that are punished severely.
Okay.
Or keeping offshore account without the permission of Parliament. Just recently in the Trump government, there was somebody had to go to jail because of that. So clearly, the motion contained many matters.
Okay.
Not just waiting to hear debate on all those matters so that we will be guided by how we conduct ourselves going forward.
Thank you so much, Inusaf Husseini. But hold on for us. We have some messages before I go to Ben Efsen. We have Ibrahim Jonathan from Tamale, and he's saying that the majority in Parliament is confused as to how to remove Ken Ofori-Atta, and an opportunity was created by the minority. I think we've already read this particular message from Ibrahim Jonathan from Tamale. Now, let me come to you, Mr. Ben Efsen. Let's look at the composition of the committee itself. Do you think they're going to be very fair and neutral to the Minister of Finance and to the demand of the minority as well as Ghanaians, the way Ghanaians actually want this issue to travel?
I think that the committee of 8 is made up of four from each party. And I believe that fairness or not will be depend on the argument to be mastered by whichever point. So you need to bear in mind that, like I said, if even you are from a safe NDC or a safe NPP seat, being elected as a member of Parliament during the inner party election is at times even difficult than the general election system, because once you get elected as a member of Parliament, you are effectively in Parliament, and people will be following closely. And I won't be surprised if perhaps Parliament might like to televise whatever is going on. So people are watching, and I'm expecting a very robust and interesting session from the committee.
Okay, all right. So, are you with those who support that the committee meeting should be televised? I want to get some clarity on that.
Yes. I think that I'll be very happy if it is televised.
What difference will it make?
Oh, it will make a lot of difference to some of the people who, because mind you, from the 2020 result, a third of Ghanaian voters are swing. So if you come from a constituency where you won by less than 500 votes, or as you are in parliament now, you know that there's somebody else racing up to contest you, even though it's a safe party seat in terms of coming to parliament, they're going to face a tight election. So people will be watching and seeing that, oh, this MP has done well, this MP told our life. So it is very important for their political survivors to be seen to be putting the interest of their people at heart.
Okay, so before I go to Inusa Fuseni, I want to find out from you, this whole issue, we don't know how long it's actually going to linger on. Should it take a week or 2 or 3? What impact do you think it's actually going to have on governance and the performance of the economy itself?
I mean, one thing is clear, rightly or wrongly, if you look at the data, the 80 majority MPs came out to ask the president to remove him, the way the city strengthened without going down further, psychologically for a few days or weeks, it might work. But clearly, things will come to a head when negotiations with the IMF are concluded. Then we'll see where the heads are and where the tails are.
What would be your candid advice to government in terms of this particular issue, the way they handle this issue, maybe majority in parliament or the ruling party itself, so they're able to create a better image for themselves in this matter?
Do what you think your constituency is like. Because when the time comes for inner party elections, it is you who is going to face that sum on paper.
Thank you so much, Benefsen, for speaking with us here on Spotlight on MX24 television. We are grateful for your time. Now, let me come to you, Inusa Fuseni. I'm going to ask you the same question. How long do you think this whole thing is going to travel in terms of time?
I wish this matter had ended yesterday. So we can move on as a country. But I fear that we will come back to the same position. I fear that such matters are making Parliament indecisive. And Parliament, the executive authority, must be very decisive on matters of this nature. The composition of the committee itself does not lend confidence to the quick resolution of the matter. You have co-chairmen, you have 4 members each. There is no majority on the committee, there is no minority on the committee. The leadership is split between the NDC and the NCP. The fact is that both parties have deployed a 3-line whip in this matter. So MPP has directed each member to vote a certain way and act a certain way in relation to the motion. NDC minority members in Parliament have also deployed a 3-line whip, and they are saying that all their members must vote in a certain way. The membership of the committee comes from each of the dominant political parties in Parliament. What is going to change? So I foresee that in 7 days' time we will return to the situation we were yesterday.
All right. Thank you so much for talking to us. Inusa Fuseni is a former MP and also a private legal practitioner. We are so grateful for your time here on the show. And that's it for this evening's edition of Spotlight, which has been live from our studios here in East Legon, Accra. We've been actually speaking with Professor Jampo, as well as Benefsen and Inusa Fuseni. Thank you so much for watching. We'll come back to you another time on the show. My name is Carlos Caloni. We are grateful for your time.